On his entrance to the Hooters Pro Cup Series, Brian Ross dominated in his home state of Indiana, winning 5 races in the Hoosier State to lead the Northern Division to the Championship Series. After a tumultuous start this season, the 42 team is back home again in Indiana and looking to regain their dominant position. From IRP, the Hooters Pro Cup Northern Division is next. Indianapolis Raceway Park, scene of the third round of the Hooters Pro Cup Series Northern Division 2004 racing season. Today, the Naturally Fresh 200, presented by Lucas Oil Products. I'm Gene Crane. In the booth with me is Scott Sutherland, and down on pit road, Stephen Cox to cover all the action as we look forward to a very exciting day of racing here on this Big 5/8.
Well, folks, the story today is crew chiefs are pulling their hair out. What am I going to do to keep my car going all afternoon? It was overcast. It was cool yesterday. Today, different story. It's hot. Asphalt is 20 degrees warmer. Driver's going to be tough conditions. But this guy right here, Gary St. Amant, our leading rookie from the Northern Division, he's got a lot of laps around this place, Gene.
A lot of laps, and he's also second in points coming into this race. Earlier today, the driver autograph session and the Hooters girls greeting the fans on their way into IRP. Down trackside, however, Stephen Cox is with our Advanced Auto Parts pole sitter and a second track record in 2004.
He led both of the first 2 rounds in the Northern Series. Didn't win either of them, but today he's on the pole. Johnny Rumley, congratulations. You chose the outside instead of the inside. Why?
We thought we'd put a twist on this race a little bit, but all kidding aside, I think it's a better lane getting up off 2 over there. We can stay even with him getting in the corner. We got a better line off 2. You know, if you pinch it down on the bottom, your car tends to get a little sideways. So we're going to try it. We think it'll work, and we've done that some other places through past history. But the guys on this car did a super job with this Lucas Oil Chevrolet. They did all the work. It wasn't me. I only got to ride it, and that was a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to this. I'd like to thank Advance Auto for putting the money on.
Well, folks, how about our Jack Roo Sauce's weather report? 83 degrees on-track conditions. Yesterday was about 68. That is going to be the big difference in how you adjust your car today compared to yesterday.
Well, again, Scott, that's going to put a premium on these pit crews and the adjustments they make. Slight wind blowing across IRP, but it's time to fire the engines down trackside.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Well, Forrest Lucas, who is Lucas Oil, his daughter, Tammy Van Lanningham, giving the command to fire the engines today, and we are set to go racing, Scott. It's going to be an exciting race day on board right there with Jason McClellan, the number 3 car. They had rear-end problems during practice yesterday, but I think the biggest note is 4 cars breaking the previous track record held by Regan Smith from 2001.
Well, the BFG Traction TA radio showed you how good it was. When we got here, they unloaded fast. That many track records really shows how good they are. What I see here today, 10 drivers have never competed at IRP. That is really going to be a difference during the race. Crew chiefs don't know how to set up their cars to go around the place, much less the difference in the weather. So where are we going to end up? Nobody knows, but it's going to be fun to watch.
Well, I add the fact that it's a rare Sunday afternoon race to the inexperienced, and a lot of factors unknown here today at IRP.
Absolutely, but you can see by this camera shot, there is not a cloud in the sky. It's going to be a beautiful afternoon for racing. They just have to deal with this sunlight. It's going to be a lot hotter through the windshields of these race cars, and that brings the temperature up, although you can get a lot of air in the car because of the tremendous speeds down the straightaway here at IRP.
Let's take a look at Indianapolis Raceway Park at our track description, the track length. As you see there, 6.86 miles in length. Johnny Rumley, the new track record holder.
And the thing is, if they go down the straightaway, typically like you would at any other racetrack, but when you get to the corners, when all the fun begins, you let the car go all the way to the top of the racetrack and get a long run. And you saw 108 miles an hour. Man, that 108 is happening all the way around this place.
We'll take a look at our Naturally Fresh starting grid this afternoon. Johnny Rumley with that new track record, and Mike Laughlin Jr. starts alongside in his 7S. Jeff Agnew, previous series champion from back in 1998. He is joined by Joel Kaufman, who is back home again as well here in Indiana. Marty Lindley takes the 16 car from the inside of row number 3, and Danny Salmon, still looking for sponsorship on that Ford, lines up to the outside.
Well, Brian Ross, we're in your backyard. Let's see what you got in the U.S. Insurance Group Ford. Benny Gordon, never been here. He was very fast in practice yesterday afternoon.
Has had some tough luck in the previous 2 races. Glenn Gaul, good qualifying effort. He'll start the inside of row number 5. And Curtis Davis on the outside in the energy drink Ford. Canadian DJ Kennington has the 77 lined up to the inside of the 6th row, and Gary St. Amand adds the Holiday Inn Express Brownsburg to his sponsorship list on the 11 car. Row 7, Chad Mullis, his Ford on the inside, and Kyle Beatty lines up, he's a rookie, to the outside of row number 7.
In row 8, it's Sam Falone in the Puro Vegetables Chevy Monte Carlo with the legendary Birdie on board. Tim Bainey Jr., glad to see you back in his Ford.
Row number 9, Logan Janoschek will start his first Pro Cup Series race of the year in car number 10 from the inside of that 9th row. And Canadian Jason McClellan, they had problems with the rear end of that race car. Got it fixed just in time for qualifying yesterday. Greg Vidal is home here in Indiana with a 35 car from the inside of row 10. And Joe Harrison Jr. on the outside. The 94 of Chris Limerick lines up to the inside of the 11th row. Pair of Indiana boys on this row with Alan Bigelow in the 55. Don Fleming Jr. from Xenia, Ohio in his 31 car, and Jeff Rourke in the 80 car make up the 12th row. Eric Fitzpatrick making his first start here in 2004 in the 05 car. And Roger Blackstock, who had a top 10 back in 2001 here at Indianapolis Raceway Park, starting on the outside of that 13th row. Field to see a 1-to-go signal this time by start finish. As we take a look at our onboard cameras, Scott, we're going to take a look and watch Chad Mullis throughout the day as he starts 13th.
We're going to see just how hard you have to work to go around IRP. It's not easy.
First time here at Indianapolis Raceway Park for Mullis. On board with the 1998 Series champion Jeff Agnew. We'll look out the front windshield and see what he sees as he lines up to the inside of row number 2. Mike Laughlin, second quick in qualifying, directly ahead of Agnew. And then another forward-facing view from Johnny Rumley, our pole sitter. Second time here in 2004 he's picked up that Advanced Auto Parts pole.
And folks, you really think that he's in the wrong line? Well, you can choose. When you're on the pole, you can choose the inside or the outside. It is the fastest way around the racetrack to be on the outside, so he chose it.
High groove here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. A little bit of a deviation from what you're customarily used to seeing with the race cars and any normal short track, all the way down on the bottom. Junior Hampton, our honorary starter from Heights Performance, waving the green flag here this afternoon in the field off of turn 4, firing it up and charging down to turn 1.
What a great run on the bottom by Mike Laughlin Jr. and Jeff Agnew. What a run.
And just as we talked about the group being up on the high side, Marty Lindley puts it all the way down to the white line on the bottom of the racetrack. Doesn't look like it's going to work, however. Rumley able to battle back on the outside in turn 3.
Well, that's the desired line, to be up there. Your corner speed is so much faster when you're on the top of the corner. I don't know what happened on that start.
Field sweeping by start finish for the first of 200 circuits here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Looks like Rumley, however, starting to get everything gathered up again. Turns 1 and 2, cut the car down in the center. Looked like he was going to make a charge at Jeff Agnew.
It's just a little bit too early to get too crazy. Mike Laughlin Jr. was very fast all day yesterday at the top of every chart. This is very dangerous to have him out in the lead this early in the race.
Behind Marty Lindley, we see a battle for 5th position. Andy Sammons along with Benny Gordon. Those two Fords going at it pretty stout as they work off that second turn.
Benny Gordon, first time here. He thinks the fast ways around the bottom of the racetrack like a typical short track. He'll have to learn it. That groove's going to work at the top to keep your momentum up.
That must be pretty tough to try to adjust to, Scott. You're used to being all the way down on the yellow line at these short tracks each and every Saturday night. This time you've got to go up into the corner with that wall right there at the right side door.
Well, you're going to run up high, and these guys are really not worked up there yet, but the line's going to move up, the groove's going to move up, and they're going to get closer and closer working that wall, and you have to do that and maintain your speed.
Mike Laughlin Jr., only Southern Division driver to elect to come to IRP this weekend, setting the pace. He's been here before, but so is Johnny Rumley. He has 2 previous Grand National starts here at IRP.
Well, Johnny Rumley's been on a roll here for the last couple of races, so it doesn't surprise me at all. Benny Gordon's going to have to learn that the fast way is around the top of the racetrack, not at the bottom.
Oh, and problems. Sam Falone in that Puro Vegetable Chevrolet brings out the first caution. Pretty good lick out of turn 2 to the inside wall. So Falone, troubles here early. Looks like he's got it fired up though, Scott.
He actually catches that outer retaining wall with the right side of the race car, and then it spun him around into the inner part of the wall. That was one heck of a lick.
Here's Falone going for the wild slide here.
Ouch.
Ooh, this is right at the backstretch crossover here at IRP. So both ends of the race car are getting damaged, but Fallone able to fire it up and head back to the pit area where they'll take a look at the damage. We'll be back with more action from right here at Indianapolis Raceway Park right after this.
The USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series is brought to you by Hooters, the cure for the common restaurant. Lucas Oil, the official lubricant of USAR. Miller Lite. Grab a Miller Lite. It's Miller time. Top your salad with preservative-free, naturally fresh salad dressing. Look for it in your supermarket's produce section.
Back at Indianapolis Raceway Park, first caution of the afternoon, and Stephen Cox awaits the 48 car of Sam Fallone. Stephen, how bad's the damage?
Actually, I think there is some pretty good damage, mainly on the right side of this race car, and you guys will get a great shot of it right now. Scott, tell me what you think about that. You know, I was speaking with Sam Fallone just a couple of hours before the race this morning, and he said one thing I really want to do is try to stay out of the way and make sure that I have a good opportunity to learn from some of the better drivers that have been in this series in these types of race cars for a long period of time. Wise words from a 23-year-old young man, but guys, it hasn't started out that way.
The biggest damage is on the right front corner. He hit that right front a ton. Not so much on the left-hand side when it came spinning around, but the toe's going to be knocked out, ball joint's going to be bent. It's going to be a tough day.
We take a look at the points, at least the top 10 coming into this event. Johnny Rumley out front by 25, but some tight battles there, Scott. Looking down through there, only 1 point between Agnew and Lindley.
The biggest thing I see is Gary St. Amant, the rookie, is way up there. But how about DJ Kennington, the other rookies, hanging right in there in the top 10. Great job from that team.
Indeed it is. DJ Kennington, part-time schedule in 2004, as he will also run in Canada. He's doing double duty. Restart here on lap number 9, and Mike Laughlin Jr., he launches away again here on the start.
Well, I've seen a lot of surprises this weekend, but the number 7 car is not a surprise. He had a very good race car the last time we were here, and it's picked up right where he left off.
Mike Laughlin Jr. way overdue for another trip to victory lane, looking to make it happen here this afternoon. Jeff Agnew, however, has a strong race car. That NGA Hooters Golf Tour Chevy closes up on the rear bumper as we take a look at a battle for 12 between the 12 car of Kyle Beatty and the 9 car of Chad Mullis.
And that's a tough way around if you can get that groove underneath. You really got to be able to close the door by the time you get to the other end of the straightaway, though.
Kind of tough to be to the inside, exiting a corner there. You lose some traction as the guy on the outside has it wound up and is able to hang on.
Well, you watch Jeff Agnew, right in the middle of the corner, you get a pretty good run, get your car down underneath it, make the nose work for you, but you got to beat him by the time you get down to the other end of the straightaway.
Take a look as Curtis Davis puts a challenge on Glenn Galt. Davis using that lower groove once again. This is a battle for 9th off the corner, though. Galt, as you said, Scott, using that outside groove and able to put the car back out in front.
And Glenn Galt, that team has to be ecstatic. This is their 3rd top 10 start of the season. That team is gelling, and they're learning this new theory of how to race. Even for an old driver, you have to adapt to it.
Glenn Galt has been around many, many years in late model ranks, adjusting to the Pro Cup Series and now to the radial tires. A battle for 6th. Danny Salmons along with the 66. The Miller Lite Rookie of the Year from 2003, Benny Gordon. And Gordon also liking that lower groove at the exit of turn 4.
That's exactly how you do it. You go roll up into the middle with them, get the car turned, and roll underneath them down the straightaway. But you got to get a great run to finish the pass.
Pretty good feeling there with that speedy cam of the speed those cars are carrying, particularly off of turn 4. This battle for 6th. Back to turn number 3 again. Gordon still not going all the way out to the outside line. Is he punishing those right side tires, Scott?
That's the danger. You can do that for about 4 or 5 laps in a row, but then you have to move back up to let your tires cool back down, because the heat here this afternoon is really going to work on the tires.
Joel Kaufman, young man that graduated high school last week, trying to hold off Marty Lindley as they battle for 4th. Lindley trying the outside line. Kaufman down. Whoa, all the way. Oh, look out.
Whoa.
Kaufman, he put it all the way down on the safety apron and unloaded the car. Looked like he got out from underneath him in a hurry.
What you can do is when you go down, it's a flat down on the bottom. Your left front picks it up, de-wedges the car, and that'll make it real free. And on these radial tires, there's so much side bite, but when you lose it, you're just hanging on.
Well, he's very lucky as well, running 4th when he spun, and a lot of cars having to take evasive action. Another look at the replay. Kaufman getting crossed up and going around in turn 3. Takes the slide all the way to turn 4, and just as he releases the brakes, it starts to roll up the racetrack.
Yeah, but everybody got around. The spotters did their job. Heads up on them. This is a flat racetrack down on the bottom. You've got to be very careful down there not to let the car get around like this, because there's no banking to hold you from sliding sideways.
Very different from what we saw 2 weeks ago at Coburn.
Absolutely, a lot different.
On pit road, here is Jason McClellan, the number 3 car. They had trouble with that rear end. Only 7 laps of practice, in for some more adjustments, along with a host of others.
Stand under first. I'll go get it. You jab it.
We'll be back in just a moment. The Naturally Fresh 200, presented by Lucas Oil Products for the Northern Division of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. On board with pole sitter Johnny Rumley, currently running third behind Mike Laughlin and Jeff Agnew. And again, Scott, we see Rumley try to peek to the inside of Agnew off of turn 4.
Well, what they're looking for is just a little bit of air to get down that nose, because you want to get as much down pressure on the front of the car as you can to get a good run up off the corner. What is really impressive about this racetrack is you sail it off in the corner, you're out of the gas for a long, long time. When you go back to the gas, it's nice and smooth. You don't go whack to the floor like you do on a lot of short tracks, unless you're like Jeff Agnew. But you want to just roll back into it and make the car run off the corner straight.
Agnew with a lot of pressure. His old rival, Johnny Rumley, on board with Agnew, starting to come into some lap traffic. Dropping down to the inside, the 48. Sam Fallone troubles bringing out our first caution for Fallone. He continues on, although very much off the pace. 16 of Lindley up to challenge Rumley, and he's doing it from the outside.
Well, that's the place to be. You want to be on that outside. You can really sail it off into the corner and try to beat it off the other side. Looks like Rumley's doing a great job of holding him off, though.
Lap traffic to come into play. Eric Fitzpatrick, the 05 machine, driver out of Michigan, Memphis, Michigan to be exact. Down on the inside as leaders bypass him and work their way through the corner. Again, Lindley, strong run, little fishtail, however, off of turn 4.
That's going to be the tail of the day, because this heat that's getting into this racetrack, how loose are these cars going to be later on in the run? We're going to find out who is the best qualified crew chief to make the decision.
Looks like Jeff Agnew's having the 73 car start to come around for him. He steps up. He's going to challenge the 7 machine, the American Body Company sponsorship on the side of the 7 car for Mike Laughlin Jr. this weekend. Now Agnew settles back in about a car length back.
I really like what Agnew's car does right in the middle. He gets a great run right through that area, but yet he's got to live just a little. Got too much momentum, and the 7 car, boom, drives away.
Again, these drivers starting the race in a situation where they qualified race ready yesterday. Well, cool temperatures and cloudy conditions really made a big difference.
Well, that's exactly right, because folks at home, you don't realize that you have to qualify with your race setup. And you have to make a great adjustment as to what's it going to be like in race conditions.
Field is coming up to put a lap on. Greg Van Alsten's got a lot of laps here. We talked to Greg about how to pass here at Indianapolis Raceway Park.
Best thing to do here, I think, passing, and I've always had luck in the past with, is getting the car to turn down underneath everybody. The groove is pretty much about a lane away from the wall, but if you can get your car working to come down almost to the yellow line, nobody will be in your way all day.
I love that analogy. That's a great way to say it, because you're right. The fast way's around the top, and if you're going to burn your tires up, you're going to stay on the bottom, and that is a great way to put it.
Mike Laughlin Jr. trying to get his car to turn down low and get by Greg Van Alst as they work off into that first turn. Rest of the leaders are going to drop down low as well, it looks, at least for the time being. Agnew has got to worry about Johnny Rumley back there and decides now to drop down, but they've got the 55 of Bigelow. Van Alst all the way up near the wall, gave the leaders plenty of room. Here comes Rumley to the inside, challenge for the lead.
And Rumley's all the way down on the flat of the racetrack making it work.
3 wide down the front straightaway. Laughlin continues to hang on to the advantage as they swing off that second corner and head down the back straightaway. Stephen Cox, what's going on down there with the 29 crew?
Here's the update from Carolina Team Concept. First of all, Tim Baney back in the saddle after a 6-month layoff dating all the way back to last year. He's shaking the rust off, and he's never been here to IRP. Billy Mowry, an injury update. He and Joe Gata tangled at Ace Speedway last week. Gata got into the driver's side door, causing a neck injury for Billy Mowry. Well, pretty bad spinal disalignment there, so Mowry's been seeing a chiropractor. He is feeling better. I talked to him last night. In fact, he's good enough to be sitting upstairs watching the race.
Yeah, in fact, he's down below us, spotting or at least listening in on the radio as Tim Baney Jr. gets it done here today. On board with Chad Mullis, currently 7th, and it looks like he's having to work too hard right now, Scott.
Well, you're turning the wheel a lot here. You're going to go left, you're going to go back and right, you're going to go back and left, and you're just working the race car. You're working the front wheels, then the back wheels, which is really hard to do, but it's a long cornered racetrack. You really got to work the race car.
Kind of looked like a battle for the lead for just a moment. Agnew had to run to the inside of the 7 car. What I was going to say is, looked like Chad found a comfortable position there, and he really wasn't working himself too hard in the race car, just letting the car do what it needs to do and pointing it where it needed to go.
We'll check in with Chad after we got about 50 or 60 laps and see what he's got going on then.
40 of 200 are on the board. We take a look at the Tucson field summary. See Benny Gordon still running just outside the top 5 with Brian Ross, Glenn Galt, Curtis Davis, and Gary St. Amant. Whoa, another battle for the lead with Chris Lemmick directly ahead.
Lap traffic is going to be really difficult, but you know what? The 73 car goes through the middle of the corner so fast, he gets a great run underneath Laughlin Jr., and I don't know, he just couldn't do anything with it.
Everybody looking for that outside groove. Chris Lemmick, along with Joe Harrison Jr., it's like they're going to hold to the outside, hold their line as they work off the corner. Laughlin, caution is out. We've got a caution. Chris Lemmick waving to the field behind him, but over in turn 4, the 35 of Greg Van Alst up and into the outside concrete. Everybody getting woed down. Caution shown here for what will now be the 3rd time this afternoon. Mike Laughlin, our leader, has been from the start. Strong start earlier today. Left side damage to Greg Van Alst's 35 machine. We'll be back here at Indianapolis Raceway Park with more action from the Hooters Pro Cup Series.
Stay tuned for more of the Naturally Fresh 200, presented by Lucas Oil Products.
Indianapolis Raceway Park, and Mike Laughlin Jr., our leader, on pit road.
I have no idea what they're coming down pit road. I didn't see any signs of anything wrong with that race car. You're leading the race. What are you doing? If this is a pit strategy move, track position is very crucial here at this racetrack. Would be the only reason he'd come down.
Stephen Cox is in his pit. Stephen, what's going on?
And your leader comes down pit road. Mike Laughlin Jr. will take on fresh tires on the right side. Now, this is mandatory, guys. You have to make at least one pit stop sometime during this race. And with these new BF Goodrich Traction TA radials, you can get a tremendous amount of life out of these tires. Now, in fact, we had 4 cars all above, or rather below, the track record. Nobody had ever run better than a 23-second flat lap here in a Hooters Pro Cup car, and that was done by Regan Smith a few years ago. This year, we had 4 cars in the 22-second bracket. You're looking at one of them, and Mike Laughlin Jr. has chosen to come in early and get this stop out of the way.
The rear tire changer cannot come around the race car because the hose is underneath it. They let the jack down on it. Stephen Cox couldn't see it from the other side of the race car. Is that going to be a penalty?
Normally, if you have a crew member or equipment on the right side of the race car, it is a tail into the longest line penalty. Let's watch this and see where the gun actually is laid. I'm not sure how they're going to call this one.
He's struggling to get it out from underneath the tire. He wants to get it around so he can change the left rear. If he just drops it right there, drop it, there's no penalty.
Definitely not a day at the beach for the GregVanAlst.com Pontiac of Greg Van Alst here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. We'll be back with more action. Back at IRP, the Hooters girls out in the grandstands greeting the fans. Mike Laughlin Jr. short pitting here today. Let's get down to Stephen Cox and find out.
Mike Laughlin coming back down pit row, and I've cornered crew chief Wayne Kent. Wayne, why these stops at this point?
Well, we just made a slight miscue on the pit stop. We didn't get what we wanted to do done, so we had to come back in and pay the price.
Now, how sure are you that you can make the next 151 laps under green and make it to the end on fuel?
Say again.
Will you make it to the end on fuel?
Oh yeah, that's why we just come in. We just want to make sure, and the car seems to be a little better on a heavy fuel load, so we'll be all right now, I think.
So short pitting, track position. The name of the game for Mike Laughlin Jr. and the Hooters girls throwing some hats out there into the grandstands.
Well, what I could see is about 155 laps. These things are going to be running out of fuel, so this is going to be really close for that Laughlin crew.
The Naturally Fresh 200 rundown here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Agnew assumes the point with Marty Lindley running second, Johnny Rumley third, and Danny Salmons lining up fourth for the restart. Scott, these BF Goodrich Traction TA radial tires, they really provide some good lap times late in the run. They really don't fall off like we've seen in times past. Is that going to be a big advantage for Laughlin?
Well, I don't know. What I can see right now is because of the heat of the racetrack, we're going to build a lot more air pressure, which we're not accustomed to that, so it's really going to be tough to make those air pressure adjustments. They are really tough on spring rate, so you have to account for that as well.
Laughlin's going to have to just tiptoe his way as he is deep in the field on the restart. Agnew in command. Working their way off of turn 4. Marty Lindley along with Rumley. Everybody nose to tail. Trying to keep tight and in formation as they work back through 1 and 2.
I think Mike Laughlin just has to be real patient, take his time, because everybody else has to make a pit stop. They have to come in and change at least 2 tires, so he can wait until it all shovels around and he will be back in the lead. Great run of Marty Lindley's car.
Battle for the lead. Lindley gets a nose to the inside, can't make it convert off of turn 4. Actually, looked like he had to lift off the throttle, and here's Rumley.
He tried to go through the middle just a little too fast, and that's what happens. You get a little bit out of rhythm, and he was trying to roll through the middle just a little too fast, and his car got tight.
BF Goodrich field summary showing where your favorite drivers are running here on lap 52 of the 200. That will make up the Naturally Fresh 200 presented by Lucas Oil Products. Rumley and Lindley now doing battle, and that's going to let Agnew open up about a 2-car separation.
Well, we saw Agnew's car was very fast through the middle of the corner, and it looks like it's going to stay that way maybe through the next run until everybody else can get some adjustments.
See Mike Laughlin up to 17th with the 7S here this afternoon after 2 trips to pit road on this most recent caution flag. Again, Lindley's car looks like it wants to ride up the racetrack. Here's the battle for 4th. Salmons and the 66 of Benny Gordon, and add Brian Ross to the mix.
Brian Ross, we haven't seen a lot out of him today. I really thought home field advantage would be a big player in this, and he was dominant a couple years ago here, and I really thought he could come in and whop the field in this race.
Yeah, Brian Ross with extra eyes here this weekend. His sponsor, U.S. Insurance Group and Speedco Truck Lube. All those folks here watching Brian Ross see if he can make it a second win at IRP and Pro Cup Series action. Still a pretty good battle right ahead, 4th and 5th.
Benny Gordon has taken the hard way around to be able to use the bottom of the racetrack here. It really works on the tires, but if he can make it work there now, he can catch this leader group.
And that battle up front really isn't there. 3 cars running nose to tail, starting to put some separation between this 4th place battle. Gordon still working that car to the bottom side.
And you can see that car is very loose on the bottom. You're just kind of hanging onto the edge trying to get that thing through the middle of the corner.
Just behind this battle, we talked about Brian Ross. Add Glenn Galt. Excellent run for Glenn Galt in that 32 machine, the Orange Blossom Special as they call it. The American Title and Trust Chevrolet running very stout. And right behind them, Gary St. Amant in that 11 car.
Gary St. Amant has a lot of laps at this racetrack in another series, but still laps are laps at IRP. They get you used to how to run the racetrack, especially later on as the tires start to wear off. Great
battle to the outside. Lindley to the outside of Agnew. They swing by Sam Fallone. The 48 car still circulating, but off the pace. Johnny Rumley's going to mix it up as well.
That shows you how dominant that outside groove is. You get a lot of bite up there at the top of that racetrack, and it looks like the groove is starting to work up now.
Agnew had to tiptoe a little bit, left the door open, and Rumley's going to try the bottom side. So he gets passed on the outside by Lindley, and can Rumley complete the pass? They head down the backstretch as we go on board with Jeff Agnew, the NGA Hooters Golf Tour machine, and Rumley just slides right up in turn 3.
Great move, kind of slid it up in there, but you know, he cut it back down to get a run off, try to catch up to Marty Lindley, and all he has to do is stay up there, stay in front of Jeff Agnew and get that run continued off.
Scott, the other thing is they completed the pass, they did it in short order, it didn't run side by side to slow them down.
Absolutely, you don't want to let them get too far out in front of you, plus you're working your tires a lot harder when you're side-by-side racing. 8-car Rumley's going to show you how to turn the car down and make a great run off the corner. That's what Greg Van also talking about earlier today.
Those leaders now, nose to tail. Danny Salmons and Benny Gordon still going at it for 4th. They can't afford to bobble it all. They've got Brian Ross right behind, and Ross looking to convert and step up into that top 5. Looks like Rumley's got a run on Lindley, or at least had a run from the center of the corner.
He goes in right behind Marty Lindley, and then right at the middle of the corner, he gets his nose tucked down, and he can get a little bit of air on the front of that nose, make the car turn a little bit better, and try to get the run all the way down on the yellow line.
And troubles, this is the 29, Tim Bainey Jr. going around here on lap 61, caution number 4 on the speedway. The Metalcraft Tools Carolina Motorsports Tech Center Ford brings out the caution. We'll be back at IRP in just a moment. The Naturally Fresh 200 presented by Lucas Oil Products from Indianapolis Raceway Park. And Scott Sutherland, our leaders, are coming down pit road. Looks like Mike Laughlin Jr. set a precedence.
Well, they have to get their tires and they have to get their fuel, and you're in that window where we can make it all the way to the end. So this is going to be impressive. Who can get off first?
Stephen Cox awaits your leader, Marty Lindley.
Marty Lindley brings it down pit row. He's going to get his stop out of the way. Just in front of Marty, we have Danny Salmons coming in, and Clay Rogers is here with this crew this weekend. In fact, Clay drove the team's rig from Nashville all the way up to Indianapolis. He was working with the sign just a few minutes ago to get the 97 down pit road. Now he's helping out with the gas can. So Clay Rogers all over the place with this team. Also remember that Area Auto Racing News, which sponsors this team, and the Salmons family publishes that publication. They have to put that out on Monday. So these guys are going to be driving back at 5 o'clock in the morning and hoping for a good show in the meantime.
Lindley and Salmons make their way off of pit road.
But Benny Gordon won the race off pit road. Go, guys, go.
Well, good stop from the Predator Performance Ford team as they get their driver off of pit road. We're going to take an opportunity to take a little break right here. We'll be back with more racing action from right here at Indianapolis Raceway Park.
Things are heating up. You won't want to miss what's next, so stay tuned to Speed.
Well, Sam Falone takes the Piro Vegetable Chevrolet behind the wall. After that early impact, it's been a tough day. Down on pit road, Stephen Cox is with the crew chief of the 16.
Just a few cars pitted ahead of Marty. I mean, you guys really came in early. Talk about fuel strategy and also why you chose to pit so soon.
Well, it might not be many cautions. There ain't many cars here, and it could go green a long ways. And we can't go about 90 more laps, 80 more laps. So we go the rest of the way. We're done. It's up to him now.
Sacrifice track position, and now it's in Marty's hands.
And track position is everything here. That's why the 7 car came so early. And now these guys are going to have to work their way through the field as well. Might be tough because there's a lot of good cars in the middle of this pack right here.
Several cars staying on the speedway, including Johnny Rumley, Jeff Agnew, and the 11 of Gary St. Amant. Those 3 cars having not been to pit road, 66 laps in. As we take a look at our Tucson leaderboard. To tail right now. Really no challenge, but deep in the field, several of those drivers trying to dice their way through traffic. See Chris Limerick along with Logan Dernoshek running in the top 10. Those cars also having not come to pit road. There is Logan Dernoshek, driver out of Cannonsburg, Pennsylvania. Started 17th, running 9th right now. He is an engineer at a nuclear power plant during the week and looking to run when he can, when it's close by here in the Northern Series.
Nuclear power plant. That would explain the green paint.
The green paint and the happy Adam on the hood. He's got a picture of an Adam and a big smiley face on there. Mike Laughlin Jr. ought to like that with his big smiley shirt. Here's a battle. Limerick, his 10th. He's trying to hold off the 66 of Benny Gordon. Not going to happen. Limerick stays to the outside. Gordon's going to get by.
Gordon, Lindley, Ross, these are the guys just came in and got tires. They're a bunch faster. Now they got to be patient, though, to work their way back to the front. It's still a long ways for this 200-lap race.
Brian Ross also having a trip to pit road, trying to work his way by. It does bypass Limerick. There's Joel Kaufman. You can see some damage to the right side of Kaufman's 44 car. The car's been off the pace a bit after that spin we saw back on the second caution of the day.
They seem to be struggling just a little bit, but they've got an opportunity to still work on that race car. How about this, the 7 car? He's a rocket coming from the back.
Track position now coming into play. Laughlin came in early. He works around Kyle Beatty in that 12 car, the ASPCA. New England Race Fuel and Leading Edge race car Chevrolet. He's given that car a good run here this year.
And I love that paint job. That was one of the prettiest cars on the racetrack.
Very sharp paint job and a pretty sharp race driver behind the wheel this year in that 12 car. Gotten it done on several occasions. The top 10 his first outing at South Boston Speedway 4 weekends ago. Laughlin, however, the Southern Invader, closing in on the Canadian DJ Kennington. Caution, we've got our 5th caution of the day, lap 71. We've got debris on the racetrack. Your leader, Johnny Rumley, set your Advanced Auto Parts pole and track record here yesterday. Our next race date is the H.G. Hill 250 at the Music City Motorplex in Nashville, Tennessee. Coming your way on Saturday night, May the 22nd. And you'll see it right here on Speed on the 27th of May. Check your local listings. Looks like some of our leaders not willing to wait and gamble on a later caution flag. They're coming to the pits.
I think they're just following what they've seen earlier. They don't want to get caught out there, and you don't want to run out of fuel.
Stephen Cox awaits the 8 car and Johnny Rumley.
Johnny Rumley looking for his first win of the year. He led both of the previous races and nearly won those as well. And I'll tell you something else, he only ran one race in all of 2003 in Hooters Pro Cup racing, and he almost won that one. So guys, just how long can it be before the number 8 gets in victory lane?
Johnny would like to know as well, because that team has really come together very well, and they've got a very good race car, and Johnny's done an excellent job behind the steering wheel.
He's got one, now 2 Advanced Auto Parts pole awards so far in 2004. Add to it, he has won every halfway leader bonus in the Northern Series so far this year.
DJ Kennington team had a great pit stop to beat Johnny Rumley and the 9-car of Chad Mullis off pit road.
We'll be back. More action from IRP here on Speed.
Welcome back to the Naturally Fresh 200. Here's a look at the Hooters' upcoming Pro Cup schedule.
Thank you, girls, and there is the schedule. While we were gone, the 11 car St. Amant stayed on the racetrack, became the race leader, was called to pit road. They found an oil leak. Race officials found an oil leak, and Gary St. Amant is going to have to come back to pit road to repair that oil leak. Here he is coming down pit road. That 11 car, the Holiday Inn Express of Brownsburg Chevrolet, in the pits for what was not going to be a scheduled stop.
The Bullet Racing team is mighty unhappy. These guys pulled from Cleveland, Ohio to come out and lead this race. And while they were leading, there was a report that some fluids were coming out from underneath the race car. It was thought to be oil, so they brought them in. They checked very quickly on a previous pit stop just moments ago, and the crew's complaint is that there's no oil in the pit stall area. There was no fluids to worry about whatsoever, so they didn't want to be called in again. But since they are going to go ahead, check out the oil leak with USAR officials, and also make a full pit stop as well. So Gary St. Amant sits on pit row. He's already lost half a lap here, guys. It's going to be tight to see if they can get him back out.
Pro Cup officials helping to point out the issues with the 11 car of Gary St. Amant. Mike Laughlin Jr. becomes our leader under caution, and Kyle Beatty advances his way up to second. We'll be back to Indianapolis Raceway Park in just a moment. Field set for a restart. Roger Blackstock, the number 1 machine, lined up to the inside. He's the first car a lap down in the Four Sons ATV Dodge Performance. Dodge Intrepid on the restart. The 7 car jumps out front. Gary St. Amant, the repairs were made. He's back on track, but deep in the field.
Yeah, deep in the field, all the way back to 18th. So he has to be very patient as well, like these other guys did with their new tires. You have to take your time coming through the field.
Kyle Beatty in the 12 car trying to hold off Benny Gordon. This is your battle for second position. Marty Lindley also in the mix, along with Brian Ross in the 42 machine. Ross has been in the hunt all day long. Here's Gordon. Runs down to the bottom of the racetrack. Fresher tires on the 66. Kyle Beatty, highest running rookie to this juncture of the Naturally Fresh 200. 12 car stays on the high side. Looks like Gordon, with those fresh tires, still can't get it done this time off the corner.
Well, that shows you right there, the high groove is definitely faster. Meanwhile, while this is going on, the 7 car is checking out.
Little contact. Gordon and Beatty get together in the middle of 1 and 2. Here comes Lindley. He saw the advantage. That's kind of reminiscent of Peach State Speedway and that run to Checkers several races ago in the Southern Series. He dove to the bottom side, just could not make the run work and get by Gordon. Ross continues in that 5th position, and earlier we had a chance to talk to Brian about the early season.
Well, the first race is probably a good description of that. Would have been a disaster, but you know, we had a good run at Colburn. You know, come home 3rd there, and you know, this Speedco U.S. Insurance Ford, we come here and tested and ran pretty good, and it was a hot day like it is today, or a warmer day, so we qualified. It was cold yesterday, and the car was a little tight, so hopefully we'll hit this thing right on the head today, and we'll be able to bring this Speedco truck Ludes Ford Taurus into victory lane.
Back on board with Johnny Rumley. We see Tim Beatty Jr. in that 29 car. Just to the outside, looks like Rumley's going to try the inside down in turn 3. Chris Limerick directly ahead. This is the battle for 8th position.
Not much try to it. That 8 car really sticks well at the bottom of this racetrack. He points it down there and just smashes the throttle. That car's awesome down on the bottom.
Fresh tires on the 8 car, and Scott, this is a look that we'd see at a lot of other short tracks, not at IRP, all the way down on that yellow line. For the 8 car of Rumley, he's going to bypass Chris Limerick as they work back to turn 3.
Credit to Chris Limerick, though. You just saw the graphic be the hard charge of the race. That's no easy task at any of these USAR Hooters Pro Cup races. It's worth $500.
That'll be a nice little extra payday if he can hold on. We're just shy of the halfway point here in the Naturally Fresh 200. Johnny Rumley trying to work his way back towards the front. Mike Laughlin Jr. short pitted back in lap number 44. Made his way back to the front after all the leaders came to pit road. Battle here off the corner with Jeff Agnew as we go on board with Chad Mullis. This is the battle for 12th. Agnew down to the inside. You can see Agnew get a nose out front as they work into the corner. Mullis on that high side. Agnew able to bypass Chad Mullis out of Charlotte, North Carolina. His first time at Indianapolis Raceway Park here this weekend. So he's going to school and getting quite an education, but having a good run. Let's ride with him.
The part that I see really that's intriguing about IRP is you have the steering wheel still bent. It's turned hard left while you're picking that gas pedal up. Most short tracks you want to turn that steering wheel straight to drive it off the corner when you're picking the gas up. That's what makes this racetrack so difficult to drive.
And they're also rolling off the throttle before they begin the turn into turn 1 and to turn 3. Just having to ease the cars in and out. Pretty good battle as we watch Jeff Agnew worked by Chris Limerick. DJ Kennington will follow him by Tim Bainey Jr. in the 29, directly ahead as they work off the second corner. DJ Kennington has had an impressive start here in 2004 the Pro Cup Series. Top 5 run at South Boston, a top 10 run at Coburn. Now in line to have a decent run here this afternoon, or so it appears, here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Back on board with Chad Mullis right behind this battle. He tries to close in and advance his position in the number 9. Tight group of cars. Mullis trying to get to the inside of the 77 with DJ Kennington on board. Gary St. Amant tried to make it 3 wide. He's got the 3 car of Jason McClellan up on the outside, and McClellan, whoa, close trouble. 6th caution is out. Looks like the 12 car, Kyle Beatty, in trouble. He was running 4th, had not been to pit road. He'll be coming to pit road now to inspect the damage on that Chevrolet. Report that Brian Ross might have got into the left rear quarter panel for Beatty. We'll be back with more action. Gene Crane, Scott Sutherland, and down on pit road, Stephen Cox bringing you all the action from Indianapolis Raceway Park. Hooters Pro Cup Series action. The 3 car of Jason McClellan down on pit road, his fellow Canadian DJ Kennington also on pit road. The 11 car also came back to pit road, Scott.
Yeah, Jason McClellan did a wedge adjustment, and it looks like the 11 car, they're making an air pressure adjustment on the right front. They got an air hose out there trying to add a little bit more air. That's really unusual.
And right behind, you can see the 12 car of Kyle Beatty. He's the reason for this most recent caution. That team had to be all smiles with that car running up in the front and his 3rd outing here in the Pro Cup Series. In fact, Stephen Cox is down to talk to his crew chief.
Jeremy, you guys had to have some big smiles going around here about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, he went for a little ride. Car was really loose, and we were trying to wait on the right side tires. As he said they were kind of fading away a little bit. So trying to save our stuff till maybe lap 120, come in pit late, and put on 2 right side tires, go for the end.
Probably a great strategy, just didn't work to their advantage. If that car was that loose and he was that fast, that was an excellent race car. That young man did a great job as well.
Closing in on the halfway point, Mike Laughlin Jr. on the restart. Brings them down to turn 1, lap 97 complete, just 3 laps away from a $1,000 payday with the Lucas Oil Halfway Leader Award. Your Tucson front runner leaderboard on the top of your screen. Ryan Ross still solid in that 4th position. Rumley trying to work his way into the top 5. He's been putting the pressure on Danny Salmons for the past several laps. Leaders nose to tail, though. We close in on that halfway point.
I really like what the 66 car, the Benny Gordon car, really quick through the middle of the corner. Similar to what Jeff Agnew's car can do as well. but Mike Laughlin's car gets a great run off the corner once he gets it straightened out.
Looks like he really woes up quite a bit getting into the corner, so not to abuse that right front tire, but you're right. Strong race car at the edge of the corner. Here's Rumley trying to put the pressure on Danny Salmons, one away from the halfway point. They work by Don Fleming's 31 machine, muffler man of Xenia, Ohio Chevrolet. And Xenia, Ohio, the series will be in Xenia, Kilcare Speedway on the 4th of July weekend. You can check out all that information on USARProCup.com for the upcoming schedule. But right now, $1,000 going to Mike Laughlin Jr. He's going to lead at lap number 100. He picks up the Lucas Oil Halfway Leader Award. He's led 71 laps with 4 lead changes to date this afternoon.
He's the leader right now, but with all the different pit strategy that we saw during the course of this race, there's a lot of guys came in a lot later to get tires. Can he hold out for another 100 laps? That's what I'd be curious, and I'm sure their crew is wondering the same thing right now.
We'll take a look at the BF Goodrich full field rundown here on lap number 100. You can take a look and see where your favorite drivers are running. Kaufman just outside the top 10, McClellan, St. Amant, Kennington. Beatty, the reason for the most recent caution, holding down 16th. Steve Noshak, along with Jeff Rourke, the 80 car, 19th. At Buchanan Paint and Decorating Pontiac. Still turning laps here this afternoon. Alan Bigelow. There is Don Fleming's 31 machine. He is 22nd. Blackstock running 23rd. And Eric Fitzpatrick, 24th at his first outing in the 05 machine, unsponsored in his Chevrolet. Well, Ross continues to hold off Danny Salmons, and the report is that Ross may have got into the 12 car of Beatty. Stephen Cox has a report.
Now, first of all, Darren, let's settle this little incident with the 12 car. Did Brian talk to you about what happened?
Yeah, we were just riding behind him. I don't know if he pitted or took 2 tires or exactly how he got up there. And we were just riding, and then Danny was starting to close in on us, and so Brian decided to go ahead and pick it up. You know, I don't know if we calculated the fuel just exactly right, so I got my fingers crossed about that. So I told him to kind of ride. The 12 car is pretty fast, so we just let him ride up there. Then he was slowing us down a little, so Brian went to get around him, and he just loosened up. You know, I don't think it was anybody's fault. He just kind of got away from him.
You know, Brian's kind of struggling in and out of the top 5 right now. You got a lot of sponsors to impress here today. What can you do?
We're riding. We're not bad. We started off a little loose. I'm worried about the rear end because I got the rear end pretty hard over in the corner, but oh no, we're just riding right now. We got Speed Go and US Insurance on there, and they're here with us this weekend, and we're really excited to have them on board with us this year.
Back on board with Johnny. Rumley is waving. Caution is out. Waving to the competitors behind him to slow down. Lap 110, and Chris Limerick makes contact with the outside concrete. Limerick had a good run going. In fact, looked like he was in line to maybe pick up that hard charger award and $500. He's on his way back to the pit area. We'll be back to Indianapolis Raceway Park right after this.
When you're at the race, don't forget to sign up for the Team Hooters Challenge. You could win $500.
Well, Rushville, Indiana's Delbert Frazier did. He was selected earlier today. He picks Marty Lindley's Hooters Air 4 to be in victory lane when it's all said and done this afternoon in the Naturally Fresh 200. Here's a look at the top 5. See Laughlin and Gordon first and second. Marty Lindley, now that's Delbert's pick to be our winner this afternoon. He's in third, and a pretty good chance for not only Delbert to pick up $500, but for Marty to pick up an extra $500. Your Lucas Oil recap this far in the Naturally Fresh 200 presented by Lucas Oil Products. Lap number 1 from the inside. He was second quick qualifier. Mike Laughlin Jr., however, uses the inside line and takes over the advantage from Johnny Rumley. Lap 15, Joel Kaufman running fourth. Goes for a solo spin in turn 4. Lap 43, your leader, Mike Laughlin Jr., comes down pit road. The air hose is stuck under the right rear tire. He'll come to pit road for a second time. Lap 58, battle for the lead. Jeff Agnew in the NGA Hooters Golf Tour Chevrolet, and the Hooters Air 4 of Marty Lindley going at it with Johnny Rumley in tow. Lap 62, leader, Marty Lindley on pit road. That allows the 7 car of Mike Laughlin Jr. to advance to the front again. He will be the Lucas Oil halfway leader at lap 100 this afternoon. That is your Lucas Oil recap of the Naturally Fresh 200 presented by Lucas Oil Products. As Mike Laughlin Jr. is ready to bring the field back to a restart. Field off the corner, and Danoshek leading that inside line. Those are the cars 1 or more laps down here on lap 110. Restart. Laughlin, pressure from the 66 of Gordon. Battle for the lead as they work off of turn 2.
The 66 got a great run. He can really run the bottom of this racetrack. Can he hold on is the question.
Well, Benny Gordon continuing to use the lower line, punishing those right side tires. Laughlin on the high side continues with an advantage, but Marty Lindley and Brian Ross are in tow and within striking distance. That lead battle continues in 1 and 2. Looks like this time Gordon's car wanted to creep up to the outside, Scott.
It's so hard to keep it. Either you're going to be a little bit tight or a little bit loose. You're just running a fine line when you're down there on that flat part of the racetrack. But he's got a very good car across the middle.
And very fast in the center of the corner. Look at how he closed in on Laughlin. Down on pit road, the crew chief of Mike Laughlin is using his calculator in a busy manner.
Wayne, I know hindsight's 20/20, but now that you've made your decision on the pit strategy, how are the numbers working out, and what do you think?
Well, I was just now calculating fuel mileage, and I think we're going to be all right by about 3 gallons. So maybe these yellows will help us. So I think we'll be all right. Car's pretty good. Michael's pretty happy with the car. We're still trying to find the line, but he's pretty happy.
Well, he ought to be happy, Scott. They're leading.
That car is really, really fast, and if he finds another line, he'd go even faster. His dad's going to be really happy, you know what I mean?
Indeed, he will. Johnny Rumley makes a run at Danny Sammons. Whoa! A little bit of contact off of turn 4. No harm, no foul. Rumley and Sammons, we've seen these two get together before. Go back to the season opener for this Northern Series of South Boston. Sammons running a strong race here this afternoon. Stayed in the top 5 most all day long. Very steady pace.
And even though you know Johnny Rumley's car is very fast, he was the pole sitter, he has to have that upper line in order to create that momentum to keep his car fast. If you drop to the bottom, like Benny Gordon can do up there, I don't know how he's making that work, but that's only one of the few cars that can make it happen.
Back up front, Laughlin, along with the 66 of Gordon and the 16 of Lindley. 3-car breakaway by just a few car lengths. Here's the battle for 7th, Curtis Davis. And that energy drink Ford, along with the 44 of Joel Kaufman and Jeff Agnew's NGA Hooters Golf Tour Chevrolet. They are battling for 7th. Should be Logan Dernoshek. Indeed, it is the 10 directly ahead as we are on board with Jeff Agnew.
And the problem here is the lap cars don't have to go to the bottom. They can just pick a lane and stay there. The desired line is around the top of the racetrack, so he doesn't have to give the outside line up.
And I think that's the important thing to say. They don't have to give any particular lane, but they do have to hold their line. That's the one thing that race control is watching each and every time out. Here is Agnew. That NGA Hooters Golf Tour Chevrolet has cleared the traffic, and he's put some distance between himself and Curtis Davis as they get back to turn 3.
Well, that's the thing. Once you can clear and get the car its head so you can run that thing up off the corner, you pick up a lot of speed.
You don't bind the car up quite as much, being pinched down to the bottom side. Good run for Logan Dernoshek. He's going to have a happy time when he gets back to Jennerstown, Pennsylvania, his home track, where he has a lot of late model experience. The Northern Division will be there in 2 weeks.
Well, Kaufman and Davis better look in their mirror because that 11 car is coming and it's on a rail. And I don't know what the deal is. They've been in and off pit road. They've had to make a couple extra stops because of looking for the oil leak, but that car's working well right now.
Gary St. Amant trying to work his way back through the field despite the problems they've had being called to pit road to look at an oil leak or some type of fluid leak on that race car. Showing a lot of patience as he is 9th. Davis back there in that 10th position. There is St. Amant. Jegs.com Chevrolet leads the rookie standings and second in the point standings. Earlier today, we had a chance to talk to Gary St. Amant and their early success.
I think patience is a lot of it. You know, my driving style, I have a lot of patience and, knowing that we have to get to the end of the race before we can win a race. And I'd say that's probably the number one thing why we have had 2 top 5 finishes.
St. Amant trying to work his way back to the front. He has Joel Kaufman, young man with a lot of experience here at Indianapolis Raceway Park, and Jeff Rourke off the Paisley Buchanan Paint Pontiac headed to pit road. Car slowed down the front straightaway and limping down the back stretch, made his way to pit road out of harm's way. We stay under green, and here's this battle once again, St. Amant and Kaufman.
This shows you if you have a very good race car and drop to the bottom and you can hang there for 3 laps and make the pass, you've got an excellent working race car. Only few of them can do here in the field.
Joel Kaufman clinched a late model championship here 2 years ago at the age of 16 at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Gives up the spot, though, to Gary St. Amant. Laughlin out front, but down on pit road, they're still figuring gas mileage. Gene Crane, Scott Sutherland, and Stephen Cox bringing you action here from Indianapolis Raceway Park in the Northern Division of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series. Mike Laughlin leads the way. A hungry pack of Chargers trying to make their way towards the front, including Johnny Rumley, who continues to try to put pressure on Danny Sammons. We take a look at the top 10 here on your Tucson leaderboard at lap number 128. Here's a pretty good battle right here. Glenn Galt trying to hold off a charging DJ Kennington. Galt has had an outstanding season so far in 2004, and we had a chance to speak with him earlier.
Yeah, we've got the car dialed in a little bit better, and I think we're adapting to the radios a little bit better than we were the good years last year. And it seems like we're unloading better, and so our tests, when we test the car, it seems like we're getting a better setup and been able to qualify better, so that's helped us out a lot. Top 10 qualifiers at Lonesome Pine, and same thing here today.
And qualifying is such a key because track position is so crucial with these type of race cars. This Hooters Pro Cup division has really come around into its own, and these cars are so competitive, you've got to be at the front of the field.
Glenn Galt qualifying ninth as we go back on board with 11th place Chad Mullis and the Naturally Fresh onboard camera taking a look at the veteran from Charlotte, North Carolina, wheeling his car through the corners. Whoa! Oh, yeah. DJ Kennington, a little dirt tracking that time off the corner.
That is the wrong place to get your car loose. How he saved that thing. Wow, that was a great job.
Sometimes it's amazing what these guys can do with their eyes closed.
Well, I don't know about that. You just grip a hold of the steering wheel and hope for the best. Chad Mullis having a great run up there, and his car is very comfortable, as you can see by that onboard camera.
Let's mention a couple laps ago, Kyle Beatty in the 12 car also made some contact outside of turn 2 with the outside wall, just scraping along, and apparently no significant damage to that race car. Up front, though, Mike Laughlin Jr. is trying to run away and hide and take home a victory here in the Naturally Fresh 200.
Mike Laughlin is out there reading a phone book. The only thing he's looking for is where he's going to spend that $10,000 when the race is over with. That car is a rocket.
See Kyle Beatty trying to close in on Glenn Galt's 32 machine. Sweep off the corner, Logan Dernashek leading that battle. The 3-car McClellan also right in that train as they work through 1 and 2. Just behind them as we see DJ.
Oh, did you see that?
That was a tough hit. Just exactly what Chad Mullis doesn't need. It allows the 32 of Glenn Galt to get by.
I've seen that before here. That wall will just sneak up on you. You're waiting for your car to drift up to the wall, and all of a sudden it'll go pow right off it. And you just hope you don't get collected up in it.
Let's take a look. Flat sided the right side of the 9 car.
How about Chad Mullis? Never lift the throttle and stays with it.
Let's take a look inside. That's pretty jarring right there, isn't it, Scott?
That's a great job just keeping the car straight and don't let the head of it, the nose of it get back into the wall because that creates all kinds of damage then.
DJ Kennington sporting a new sponsor for this event, local company here in the Indianapolis area, EaglePromo.com alongside. Back on board with Chad Mullis. Just driving along like nothing happened, Scott.
Well, when you hit it flat, maybe he didn't bend anything. As long as you keep the tires on the wheels, you can keep on getting it. As long as it didn't bend the rear end or bend the ball joint or knock the toe up.
Chad Mullis keeps his cool and hangs on. Both Kyle Beatty and DJ Kennington try to take a beat and try to pick up the position from Chad Mullis.
You got to wonder how these race cars are driving right now because we've been a long green stretch. The racetrack is very hot. The air pressure is really building up in these tires, and they've got to be a handful, and we've watched quite a few guys make contact with the wall and even getting sideways, stuff like that. It's got to be a handful to drive right now.
Jason McClellan also right in that battle. Back up front, here is Mike Laughlin Jr. on cruise control, so it would seem, the 7S, indicating he is a Southern Division driver. He's enjoying about the biggest lead we've seen all day long. Behind him, though, quite a battle for second. Marty Lindley, he'll dive to the inside and try to challenge Benny Gordon. Both cars wiggle.
This old racetrack's getting slick, and these guys are really having to get up on the steering wheel now and just drive the wheels off the thing. Looks like the 16 car just a little bit faster.
Although Marty Lindley may be a little bit faster, still has not been able to work his way around Benny Gordon. Gordon continuing to use the outside groove now, moving up to the high side. Remember earlier, we saw him running down on the bottom groove. Here's Beatty. They have closed in along with Kennington and McClellan. McClellan, a battle. The Canadians going side by side this time off the corner.
That was a brave move to flail in on the outside. Wow.
Makes it work off the pace. Looks like Roger Blackstock, the #1 machine. Blackstock in trouble here with his Dodge. They spent all night rebuilding the motor. Only got about 2 hours sleep. In fact, during the autograph session, told him not to fall asleep today.
Well, this group is pretty tight together, and we know these cars are a little bit ill-handling. If one guy makes a mistake, we're going to have us a wreck.
They've caught up with the 31 of Don Fleming. And look, here is our leader, Mike Laughlin Jr. He's got traffic directly ahead. This is going to allow the second place battle of Benny Gordon and Marty Lindley.
This ain't going to work. This ain't going to work.
3 wide. Whoa, McClellan. Oh, no. McClellan to the outside wall. Your leader, Laughlin, no place to go. Caution is out. Gordon gets on the binders. He is able to avoid Mike Laughlin Jr., but the front end of that race car is used up, heavily damaged for Mike Laughlin Jr. Here is McClellan. His car sits to the high side.
And Jason McClellan knew the leader was coming. They knew if they were going to stay on the lead lap, they had to get through here. Whoa, you see the radiator's broken, all the water coming out. The steam is so intense inside that race car, you have no idea how hot it can be in there.
A front hit, but the rear end housing also shifted in that race car as it crabbed to a stop. Here it is once again. McClellan trying to hang on, gets loose into Kennington and up and into the path of your leader, Laughlin. No place to go.
And you saw the front end of the 7 car. You could see it nosedive, trying to get it wound up, but when you're running that fast, it's just almost impossible.
McClellan takes the shot in the door bars. In fact, the A-pillar member. Here's another shot. Once. Laughlin into it twice. 3 shots into the side of the McClellan car. Laughlin, no place to go. Mike Laughlin Jr. out of Simpsonville, South Carolina, climbs out of the American Body Company Ford Taurus this weekend. The big man is not going to be happy.
And you got to wonder, what do you have to do to win a Hooters Pro Cup race? This guy has been so close so many times. You really got to feel for him.
You certainly do. And that big smiley face that's on that T-shirt he customarily wears is probably wearing a big frown right now. Under caution, safety crews attending to the 7 car, and Mike Laughlin taking the long walk back to his pit area. We'll be back with more action here at Indianapolis Raceway Park after these messages. The naturally fresh dressings, sauces, and dips 200. Presented by Lucas Oil Products today at Indianapolis Raceway Park as the Northern Division of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series takes to the track down on pit road. Here's McClellan in. They're going to take a look at the right side. Remember, he was involved in that dramatic crash down the back straightaway that involved our race leader, Mike Laughlin Jr. Here's another look. McClellan crossed up. Laughlin nowheres to go as he approached traffic.
Don Fleming was on the outside of that. They almost tried to go 3 wide and just got a little bit of contact, and that started the whole thing with Jason McClellan. You know he didn't want that to happen in front of Mike Laughlin.
Laughlin out of his car has walked back to his pit area where Stephen Cox is with him.
Mikey, first of all, the bad news. I know you're all right. You hopped right out of the car. What happened on the racetrack?
I guess a nice way to put it, they was just racing hard, got 3 wide, just beating and banging on each other 3 wide. It's kind of ridiculous, in my opinion, but we just got a lot of work to do to fix this thing before we go back to Nashville. I don't know. I just really need to, I'm a little upset, but need to thank all my guys, my sponsors. American Body Company, this is a 1-race deal, and probably going to go to Ohio, do something with them there. Tucson, Laughlin Racing Products, and RE Suspension with Jason. He had me hooked up with the shocks. And I don't know. I'm just disgusted right now.
Can't blame you at all. Mike was absolutely flying out there today, guys, and it was taken away from him.
Another tough break for Mike Laughlin Jr. And they only have 6 days to be back in Nashville and see a green flag there.
That crew is going to be burning the candles this week to try to get that thing back to the racetrack, but we know they'll do it. They do it time and time again. The problem is you very seldom get a race car that good. You got to take advantage of it on that day.
Stephen Cox is down on pit road. Let's go back and hear from him. He's in Kaufman's pit.
Joel Kaufman back down pit row. He is going to take on right side tires and take a close look at them, guys. These are not new. This is off their last set. They like them better, and they think they have a little bit more mileage out of these, so they're going to take on 2 tires and 2 tires only right side and send Joel right back out to see if he can run these last 52 laps with a little more traction.
Well, the theory behind that is they're a lot cooler. They've gone through a heat cycle, so they might have more grip in the closing stages of this race.
Field getting set for a restart. Coming up, the Hooters' 8th annual International Swimsuit Pageant in Miami, Florida. The Jackie Gleason Theater on June the 30th at 8 p.m. Watch it live on your favorite Hooters closed-circuit television right at Hooters. And, Scott, they didn't ask us to be judges this year.
Heck with that. I've always been looking for a reason to go to Miami. I finally got one.
There we go. Ready to go to checkers, though, is Benny Gordon. He's out front. He's had a tough time this season of the Northern Division. He leads the field back to green on lap number 149, 51 circuits away from a checker.
Well, 50 laps is a long ways in local division racing. 50 laps can go in a heartbeat here in the Hooters Pro Cup race. And you know Benny Gordon wants this race real bad.
Marty Lindley dropped back just a little bit, starting to close back in, but look who's third. Brian Ross in the 42 car. Darren Odell said earlier, we're just riding. They may have something for these 2 leaders up front. Gordon and Lindley still nose to tail as we reach lap number 150 and your BF Goodrich full field summary. Take notice of Amon, Davis, Galt, and Kennington rounding out our top 10. That lead battle looks to tighten up. Marty Lindley's chopped off another car length. And Brian Ross isn't too far back as well. Danny Salmon still running 4th. Just outside your picture. This time, though, looks like Gordon got a run on Lindley and is able to put a little more distance between that Hooters Air Ford.
Yeah, we're watching this group right here and the next couple. But the car that I haven't seen is the 73 car of Jeff Agnew, who was extremely fast at the beginning of this race. I really thought he'd climb in. Brian Ross, I like that analogy. Just sit there and ride and ride and ride. He may have the best tires for this last section.
Jeff Agnew, the NGA Hooters Golf Tour Chevrolet, just outside the top 5. Final car in this little group as they work back to turn 3. Agnew, the 73, running in 6th. Johnny Rumley is the 5th position car once again going to work on Danny Sammons. Danny Sammons has got to be tired of seeing that Lucas Oil Chevrolet in his rear view mirror.
But they haven't had any contact as of yet. Danny Sammons putting together a whale of a race. Bill Boger upstairs calling those shots, talking his driver through as he does with all the young guys.
Excellent run for Danny Sammons. Maybe a little extra incentive. Clay Rogers may have said, have a good run or you're driving the truck back to Mooresville. Danny Sammons, a 2-time National Quarter Midget champion, still looking for his first trip to Victory Lane here in Hooters Pro Cup Series action. And Gary St. Amant has closed into the picture. He's 7th.
Wow, the 8 car got a great run through the middle that time. Cannot close a deal. It gets too loose when you get up off late exit off these corners.
Just can't get the forward bite or enough forward bite to get the advantage over Danny Sammons. They continue to battle for 4th position. Amant starting to put some pressure on the 73 of Agnew.
And that team has had a bunch of things to go through in and out of the pits, and they are making their way forward. Johnny Rumley has got to be frustrated. He knows a little faster if he can just get around and go on to the next guy.
Well, the next guy is not going to be any easier. That's Brian Ross directly ahead of Danny Sammons. And once again, the 8 car of Rumley continues to look to the inside. Here's the 11 of St. Amant, challenge for position. 6th place battle into turn 1 with Jeff Agnew up on the outside. St. Amant, same difficulty Johnny Rumley has. Cannot finish the pass at the exit of the corner.
That's the thing about it. They can roll in and roll through the middle, but they're just not enough forward traction to finish it off the corner.
Chris Limerick back on the speedway. The 94 car keeps his car down to the low side, out of harm's way as the field goes by. Trying to complete the laps and make it 2 checkers here. The Naturally Fresh 200 presented by Lucas Oil Products. Here's that battle once again. St. Amant, this time a half car length back from Jeff Agnew as we go back on board the NGA Hooters Golf Tour Chevrolet. Pretty good battle as they work by Logan Granoshek. And a look at your top 5 here with Benny Gordon leading the way in the Naturally Fresh 200.
Stay tuned for more of the Naturally Fresh 200, presented by Lucas Oil Products.
Speed Channel coverage of racing action, the Hooters Pro Cup Series Northern Division at Indianapolis Raceway Park, where Benny Gordon and Marty Lindley are battling it out for the lead right now. Lindley back by about 2.5 car lengths, closing in on Benny Gordon as they work back to turn one. These two have broken away and put some distance between themselves and third place Brian Ross. Lindley got a run in the center of the corner, couldn't make it work at the exit. Gordon holds on to the advantage once again.
Well, the 16 car looks to be just a little bit faster than the 66. He just has to clear him. But I'm going to tell you from the computer, the second fastest race car out there right now is the 11 car.
St. Amant is quick. Todd Gordon, crew chief and brother of Benny Gordon, is with Stephen Cox.
Todd, talk pit strategy and talk tires to me.
Well, I don't know how much pit strategy it was. We knew we had a fuel window that we had to meet between 80 and 120. We came out just a little bit earlier. There's been more cautions than expected. Tires, we're just trying to conserve them right now. Marty's strong, we're pretty strong, and there's a lot of laps left. I'm just hoping we can stay where we're at.
Well, that's the next question. Is Benny talking to you, and can you stay where you're at? Do you have the car for it in the long run?
Well, you know, thanks to the Predator engines, we've got a heck of a motor in that race car. It's helping us on the straightaways. Our car isn't quite as good as what we want through the corners, but I just want to thank Denny Raybuck and Murray's Ford for giving us good race equipment, and we're going to try to make the best of it.
Well, they're trying to make the best of it up front.
And it's so difficult to lead the race and save your tires at the same time, Gene. You got to be patient, but yet you got to keep your eye in the mirror.
Here's a pretty good battle once again. Rumley up to challenge Danny Salmons. Now the situation that may develop here is Brian Ross directly ahead is encountering some lap traffic. Limerick in the 94 car gets down to the inside, gives those leaders plenty of room as they battle for third position off of turn 4. Elvin Rector down in Marty Lindley's pit area, watching on as his driver battles for the lead. Stephen Cox is with him.
Well, the right index finger is getting a workout, keeping that clock, and Elvin Rector does not seem to be too terribly worried. Come here and talk to me a second, Elvin. If you're sitting up here on top of a golf cart, how worried can you be?
Well, a little bit. We're a little bit faster than he is, but when we get close to him, we got our air push. And I don't know whether we're going to get him or not. It's going to be pretty tough. Them cars pretty equal.
That's a problem we talked about earlier. You can drop your nose down to get air on top of it to make the car turn. The problem is there's no forward traction once you get all the way alongside. That's the thing they're going to have to contend with later on in the race here.
It's like Jeff Agnew's got his hands full once again. Gary St. Amant all over that rear decklet, and there's that battle for third directly ahead. St. Amant dives to the inside once again, and looks like once again, well, maybe not this time. Agnew not able to pull out quite as far of an advantage over St. Amant as they battle for 6th position. Here's Rumley. He's getting antsy. Laps are running down. He's trying to step his way back to the front. Johnny Rumley has not won a USAR Hooter. Oh, and no contact. He and Salmons get together for just a moment, continue on without incident. Johnny Rumley has never been to victory lane in the Hooters Pro Cup Series, and he's trying to make it happen this afternoon. He's going to have to dispatch of these two in a hurry and then try to run down our leaders, Gordon and Lindley, if he's going to make it happen.
The 11 car is really working the bottom, and Jeff Agnew, he really wants to get around them as well.
Here is your leader, Benny Gordon. He's going to work up on the 9 car of Chad Mullis. Mullis, remember, a contact with the outside wall about 50 laps ago, has continued on, about to go 1 lap down.
And like Alvin said, the 16 car can back up, let his tires cool, and run the 66 back down. But what are you going to do when you get there? You just can't make the move to make the pass.
Going to have to wait for traffic, but doesn't look like Marty Lindley is waiting. He's within a half a car length as they work through 3 and 4.
Whoa.
Lindley's diving to the inside.
Great run.
Got the traction and powers by Benny Gordon. New leader, Marty Lindley. As we close in on a finish, Lindley puts the car up front. Benny Gordon back to second. The battle still for third. Ross has got the spot. Salmons and Rumley trying to mount a challenge.
The 66 car got all the way up in that little bit of gray area, got his right heel up in there, got a little loose, and that's all it took to open the door. Marty Lindley, wow, drove right by him.
He's had to wait an extra moment before picking up the throttle. Battle for 6th once again. Amant to the inside of Agnew. And directly ahead, Rumley has got to run on Salmons in the 97. Nope. Didn't work.
Just can't close the deal. They get such a good run through the middle of the corner and just do not have enough forward traction to get up off the corner.
This time that group runs nose to tail. No real challenge off the corner. Joe Harrison. Joe Harrison Jr. out of Renwick, West Virginia, the 57 car, directly ahead of Marty Lindley. Looked like Marty had to check up for a moment, as does Benny Gordon when they go to turn 3. Both drivers now able to clear Joe Harrison Jr. and that Chevrolet. Close call there for the leaders. We've already seen one leader meet their demise on the back straightaway when slower traffic or lap traffic. They were getting ready to lap traffic on the back straightaway, and Mike Laughlin Jr.'s car is going home on the hook. A lot of work. The big man from Simpsonville, South Carolina.
And they're coming up on the 10 car, Dernishek, and then the 3 car, Jason McClellan. And I think these guys will give them a lot of room. They have pretty much all day. That's the biggest thing that Lindley's got to contend with right now, is going through traffic and not get held up to let the 66 get caught back up to him.
Marty Lindley won the season opener, dominating. If you look at the rundown, you would say in dominating fashion. However, it was Jeff Agnew dogging him the entire way at South Boston Speedway. Lindley, however, led the most laps, picked up the win, and took the big check back to the bank. He's looking to do so again today. There are quite a few drivers, including Curtis Davis. Davis is going to get by the 11 car. St. Amant, has he used up the tires, working it on the bottom side? Here comes Galt as well.
And they've got him pinned down there. They're not going to let the 11 car up.
Glenn Galt gets by Gary St. Amant. Amant back to 9th position. Glenn Galt, strong. Oh, look at Ross, loose off of turn 4.
These guys are really working hard, and these tires have got to be loose.
Looking at that Miller Lite rookie of the race rundown, St. Amant, the leading rookie right now, running in that 9th position. Back to the 4th place battle. Salmon still solid in that position. And Curtis Davis, the energy drink Ford, has taken life here. He's going to challenge Jeff Agnew for 6th position. But here comes St. Amant once again.
He cleared the lap car, and here he comes back at it. Wow.
A battle for position just outside the top 5. Marty Lindley, your leader. We'll be right back. "15 laps remaining at Indianapolis Raceway Park. A battle for 6th continues between Jeff Agnew and Gary St. Amant. The work by Roger Blackstock's #1 machine with Glenn Galt, 32 machine, right in tow.
Great to see Glenn Galt finish this race. I hope he can stay in there, hanging in the top 10. Great job from that team. But how about that 16 car? Wow, what a rocket.
Got his way around the 66 of Benny Gordon and has set sail. Here's that challenge once again in the 3rd turn. St. Amant has got the lower groove. Can he make it work? Agnew stays solid in his groove. Just not enough. St. Amant will pick up 6th position. Glenn Galt also right in that battle.
Well, he said he was going to be patient when he said it in the interview earlier. Patience better be out the window now, because you only got a handful of laps. You got to step on the gas pedal.
Getting down to time to make it all happen. And up front, Lindley is trying to run away and hide and let everybody else battle for second on back. Agnew has got 7th position. With 8th position, Glenn Galt. In 9th is Curtis Davis. Up front, however, Brian Ross. In this battle, 3rd through 9th, they're separated by a short distance. 3rd position is the 42 of Brian Ross. He has got Salmons and Rumley on his bumper.
Yeah, this can tighten up in a hurry. The thing I notice right now is nobody can turn and come back down to the yellow line when they come across out of the corners. Everybody's got to stay in that high line. The groove has moved up, and the place is very slick because of the sunlight. And these tires, even though they're great, they're still greasy right now because of the heat and hard to drive.
A lot of wear, a lot of heat on these tires. They've been on these race cars for a long time, and most of these drivers have already gotten the good out of these tires. Marty Lindley out front of that Hooters Air Ford. 1 week ago at Ace Speedway, it was Clay Rogers becoming the first driver to repeat visits to victory lane in the Hooters Pro Cup Series. Marty Lindley looks like he's trying and driving away. He's looking like he's going to make it a 2nd driver.
Long ways back to the 66 car, but what about this group? Here he comes.
St. Amant worked his way by Johnny Rumley, makes a bid. He's going to get to 4th. He gets by Danny Salmons. Johnny Rumley's got to be frustrated.
That car is on a rocket. Well, we said he had a step on it. He must have heard us.
Looked like he may have dropped back for just a few moments, and Gary St. Amant, if he can hold this spot, he may become the hard charger of the race. Ross knows that Gary St. Amant's on his way trying to get by Logan Dernosha.
Yeah, he's going to look in his mirror. He's going to see this big red thing up here in it because that car is very, very fast. He saved his tires from right here at the very end, but who'd have ever thought he could come this far, this quick?
The Cool World, Jegs.com Chevrolet, mounting a charge here in the final 10 laps. Brian Ross sees the 11 car closing in. This could be the battle for third. Up front, Marty Lindley is checked out. He's gone. He is ready to cash a check and go to victory lane. Second place, Benny Gordon also all by his lonesome. He'll need a caution flag to catch Lindley now.
Glenn Galt, right in the middle of this thing. You go, Glenn. Great run.
The veteran out of Hubbard, Ohio, doing an outstanding job. That American title at Trust Company
There's
Chevy.
another one.
Challenge for third. St. Amant all the way down to the stripe. St. Amant to the inside. Ross is going to battle back from the high side. Battle for third position down the back straightaway.
That car's got a tremendous amount of bite. Where did he find that all of a sudden? He's going to slide in front of the 42. Yes!
Slide job off the corner. St. Amant takes over third. Ross back to fourth. And Danny Sammons continues to hold down fifth.
Can he catch a 66 car?
I don't think so. I think we're going to run out of time.
Yeah, on the computer, this car is absolutely flying, but he's just going to run out of laps.
St. Amant putting on a show here as we reach 5 to go. Marty Lindley. His father raced here on 2 previous occasions. Marty Lindley looking to do what his father was unable to do in his historic career and go to victory lane at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Here's Lindley working by Joe Harrison Jr.'s 57 machine, 4 laps away from a checkered flag here in the Naturally Fresh 200.
He just has to work traffic now. Just be very patient. He doesn't have any pressure from behind. Just make sure you pick your lane right. We just don't need some more incidents like we saw earlier today.
Yes, that was quite a scary situation. In fact, we've seen it several times throughout this season of the Northern Division where you may not want to be the leader. Seems like that is a place to be changed. But right now, Marty Lindley has found a comfort out front. He sets his sights. He's going by Tim Bainey Jr. in the 29 car. We look back deep in the field. Here's Brian Ross with Gary St. Amant directly ahead. Sammons at that 5th spot still with Johnny Rumley all over the rear bumper. Glenn Galt, he's challenging for 6th position on Jeff Agnew as we go on board the 73 of Jeff Agnew.
Glenn Galt forged his way on the outside and took the lane away going into that last corner. That's a brave move, but you really got to have a lot of faith in your competitor.
2 to go, 2 laps to go has been shown to your leader, Marty Lindley, all by his lonesome up front. This is where you really wonder about the race car. You listen for every little sound, isn't it, Scott?
Well, you're just hoping you don't run over any debris, get a flat tire. Just hold on to this, baby. Please make it back one more time.
Marty Lindley, a cross-start finish, making his final tour around Indianapolis Raceway Park. His father had a best finish of 6th position back in 1983. Marty Lindley takes the number 16 out front, has a groove, all to his lonesome off the corner. Checkers are in the air. Marty Lindley goes to victory lane.
Great race car, great race. Didn't lead the most laps today, but he led when he needed to lead the race and take home the victory.
Benny Gordon comes home 2nd. St. Amant 3rd and back to the line. Here's a battle right on back to 9th position. Agnew lost a few spots. He'll finish at 8th.
But it was Rumley, Galt, and Curtis Davis brought up the back of that pack. Great job from that team. I know they've had a lot of work to do in the last couple of weeks.
They've struggled the last several races out, looking to finish a race. They get it done here today. Benny Gordon, great run as they recover here in 2004. As Marty Lindley heads to the front straightaway and the burnouts, we're going to take a quick break and be back with our winner here at IRP.
The USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series is brought to you by Hooters, the cure for the common restaurant. Miller Lite, grab a Miller Lite, it's Miller time. Lucas Oil Products, a leader in heavy duty and high performance lubricants. Jackaroo Meat Sauces, served in America's finest backyards.
Burnouts are complete. Marty Lindley's in victory lane. Stephen Cox is on his way. Let's hear from our winner.
9 wins in his career, the second of 3 possible wins in the North Series this year. And really, how much of this, Marty, was due to pit strategy? You came in early, like lap 72 or so.
Yeah, I know track position was going to be key, and them 2 cars, I didn't know if we was going to ever get by to 66, and then we'd have had to deal with Laughlin, and then he pitted before all of us did. And hey, he had bad luck. He had an awful good car, and we don't get to race with him much, so I'd like to race him at the end. But Hooters there back in victory lane again. I owe it to all my guys. They just made good calls all weekend. Just finally win at IRP.
Not only that, but you did it with very, very little tire wear, so it would seem, because you still stayed very strong out of the corners all the way through the race.
I'm telling you, BF Goodrich has made an awesome tire. It's probably, you know, I've been here on all kind of different tires and Busch cars and the Hooters cars, and by far this is the best tire we've been on. You could just really romp the gas late in the run, and just like to thank Billy Hess, automotive specialist, great horsepower tonight. Just Hooters there, just can't, Sinutra, thank the Wingate Inn at Indianapolis for giving us rooms this weekend. Just everything worked out good.
Marty Lindley ready to celebrate in victory lane. An extra $500 headed his way, as earlier today in the Team Hooters Challenge, Delbert Frazier selected Marty Lindley as his pick to go to victory lane. He was right. There's Delbert celebrating. He also picks up $500 in the Team Hooters Challenge. Remember, register for the Team Hooters Challenge at each and every Hooters Pro Cup Series event at the main grandstand gate. Your chance to also be a winner in the Hooters Pro Cup Series. Final results of the Naturally Fresh 200 presented by Lucas Oil Products. We see our top 10. Joel Kaufman recovers and has a top 10 finish here today.
DJ Kennington, very good run here today. Hate to see it's only a limited schedule. Jason McCullen, a little bit of problems, still with a great finish in 13th.
Dernoshek, Fleming, and Fitzpatrick, all rookies in that second 10, along with Jeff Rourke, finishing 23rd. Mike Laughlin Jr. leading most of the race, finishing 24th. Our second place finisher, Benny Gordon, is with Stephen Cox.
If you want to advertise for your sponsor, go win a race. Well, you guys have been talking about Predator engines all weekend. Now what do you think of them?
Oh, they're awesome. I mean, that Predator Performance motor run great. My team did great today. They beat everybody out of the pits. I think we come in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and beat everybody out of the pits. And that was a key here because it was so hard to pass. I tried to make some passes on the 97 earlier and couldn't get around them. But you got to thank Murray's Ford for getting us here and all their backing. Hightower transmission was awesome, along with the motor. So I'm really happy with the second place. We've had a great car. We've got good cars, and it's a good program, but we just haven't had any luck. We've led all 3 races now, and we'll take a second today.
I'd be tickled to death with a second. That's a great race team, a good little driver. They're doing a great job. All I got to do is just hang with it. It'll come.
Gary St. Amant scores somewhat of a trifecta. He is the Miller Lite Rookie of the Race. Started 12th, finished 3rd, picked up 9th position. It also earns him the Hard Charger Award. Stephen Cox has caught up with our 3rd place finisher.
Well, what a race it was for Gary St. Amant. Gary, you almost went off that lead lap. I was standing right in your pit, and I think it was maybe 3 or 4 inches that kept you on the lead lap.
Yeah, we got pretty lucky there. You know, I was a little upset with a couple guys complaining about our oil leak, and you know, I found out that when I stopped the race car over there after the race, we had a pretty good puddle of oil inside the race car. So we got pretty lucky, and I'm glad they let us make it to the end. And you know, the pit crew did an awful good job, you know, getting us in and out of the pits and keeping us on the lead lap.
You put a lot of laps around this place over a lot of years. What's it like to be back?
Well, it's great. You know, not only myself here at the Indianapolis Raceway Park, but, you know, all the JEGS people, JEGS.com, you know, they're always back there for the U.S. Nationals. And, you know, it's great getting Columbus, Ohio back over here to IRP and having a good run for this Bullet Racing team.
Well, St. Amant put the charge on in the final 10 laps to pick up that 3rd spot. The point standings tighten up a bit after today's race. Rumley's still out front, but only by 1.
I don't remember the points being this close, especially in the top 4 or 5 there. Man, this is going to be fun.
And a lot of fun it will be. The next race date is at Music City Motorplex, coming up Saturday night, May 22nd, 7 p.m., the H.G. Hill 250. For the Southern Division, you'll see it right here on Speed on May the 27th. Check your local listings. For all the information you need about racing, check us out at speedtv.com. We'd like to thank all the fine folks who helped make it happen here at the track, including Racing Electronics, provider of the racing communications throughout the event. Bragg Environmental, the official spill absorbent of USAR. Rad Track transportation provided by Best Golf Cars. Check USARProCup.com for all the action on the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series. Scott, any final thoughts?
Well, I'd like to say congratulations to Marty Lindley. Great run coming back here to IRP. Mike Laughlin had the best race car. Didn't finish the race. You've got to do that first.
My thanks to Scott Sutherland and Stephen Cox. I'm Gene Crane. Folks, we'll see you next time at the races with the Hooters Pro Cup Series. Your winner, Marty Lindley, of the Naturally Fresh 200.